Yo, this is Muhsin Ra'id, a.k.a. the Muslim Boxer, and this is episode 4 on the Third Party Podcast. Let's go.
Theme music.
Hey, music give me hype.
You feel me? That just be like,
Beat come in.
the Muslim Boxer in the house. We got the riot out the cap. With it down the back. Out here, you can't even need to say nothing. Like,
I mean, the production is just
that joint crazy, right?
leaps and bounds.
Yeah. Y'all know what it is. It's the Third Party Podcast. I'm Muhsin Ra'id, a.k.a. the Muslim Boxer, a.k.a. Mr. NyQuil, a.k.a. Mr. 11-0, a.k.a. Mr. Ooh. And I'm here with my co-host, my beautiful co-host, Biv DeVoe.
Did you say brown Biv DeVoe?
Brown Biv DeVoe?
Black Biv DeVoe. That's what I said. Black Biv DeVoe.
Hey, man, it's Rod DeVoe, man, here with Musa. We got a dope show lined up.
And y'all know we got a special guest in the house. We got Moses, the comic.
Yo, that's what's up, man. We got our guy.
Come on. I'm in the
Moses
building.
The comic.
I'm in the building. This 2.0. This episode 2.0, technically.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Can we pull the curtain back a little bit?
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Talk that talk, George.
First of all, it's your boy Moses the Comic is in the building. Okay. Y'all already know. Third Party Podcast. This is my second go around with the Third Party Podcast. And let me let y'all know, leaps and bounds. The production is shot up. Okay. They had to hook up with a white man, and you know they did. As soon as they hooked up with a white man, okay, it's this little seedy, off alley. I almost got robbed outside, but I came inside, and you know what? This is a good production. They got microphones and cameras and everything. I'm proud of you boys.
I got to give this man his flowers, give him his proper intro, right? I went on his website.
It was updated.
It was a little long though, right? If I read that, the show be over.
It would be crazy.
Grand opening, grand
You gotta
closing.
take the bullet points.
Listen, hey man, Philly native Musa Sulaiman, comedian, writer, entrepreneur, seasoned comic. He began his career at the Laugh House. He's performed at some of the major comedy places: Caroline's, Hollywood Improv, Laugh Factory, Uptown Comedy Corner, Jokes and Notes, many more. He's performed domestic and internationally with the likes of Kevin Hart, Michael Blackston, Steve Harvey, George Wallace, Charlie Murphy, Kelly Price. I didn't know she did comedy, but all right. Snoop Dogg, Tommy Davidson, Dean Squad, Omar Regan, Preacher Moss, Jill Scott, Kendrick, the Family Soul.
Shout out to Kendrick.
You know what I mean?
Shout out to Kendrick.
He's headlined the Super Muslim Comedy Tour, where he earned fundraising campaign of the year. I think they
Over
said
150 souls showed out.
Okay. Talk about
worldwide.
it. Talk that talk,
Worldwide.
George.
Over
talk
$5
that
million.
talk.
Over $5 million raised for disaster relief efforts, cyclical poverty, education relief, everything. Rohingya, we building water wells.
That's I don't even know where
I don't know.
Rohingya is.
I've never been there. Listen. It's so crazy. I'm still not done.
You still not done. Go ahead.
Hey, he's a registered writer who has written an episode for Family Guy, and he's currently producing a web series titled "It's Always Sunni in Philadelphia." Welcome to the show, Moses the Comic. I know him as Musa.
Come on.
So welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having this. This is a beautiful thing. I feel like we need a group hug because first of all, I love that you referred to him as a beautiful black man.
Let me just say
we
this.
need more.
Hold on.
Camaraderie.
As far as the beautiful black man, let me just say this. He gave a beautiful speech yesterday.
Did he?
And I saw him. He was choking up a little bit. He was choking up. And I was like, I think
Because he plays stuff close to the chest.
But to commemorate all this, I really feel like we should give a group hug.
Cut
You
it
think?
out, man. Why? No.
Do you think? I'm all for a group
There's
hug.
no getting up. All right.
Okay.
All right. We got to show.
But we
got to show.
I've been given a whole dossier of instructions. I can't touch the table. I can't breathe air. I got to count backwards. Do
Well,
this
since he
malone.
can't do it, would you give me a hug?
Listen, no.
I would love to see you two hug.
I don't understand what's this fascination with hugs around here, dog.
Why
Shout
don't
out
you
to
like
Blackman
hugs?
Hill. We got to tune into
Black men here.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely. What didn't I put in that intro that you want people to know?
For me, I think the sum of who I am, I'm a father, businessman. I'm the baby of 6 children. So that was always kind of getting where you fit in. But I'm a product of my father, know, who my father was, a pioneer in the community. And recently I had the pleasure of visiting his grave, where I realized that since my father passed, may Allah be pleased with him, I've been on a path to strive to be like him in character.
Wow.
And so even all of my accolades and everything that's on there, I think my father used to say, say character is the greatest currency that you can have. And so I just strive to be, a funny guy with good character.
Hey man, shout out to your pop, man.
Shout out to the pop.
I actually was close to your pop before I really even was close to you.
Wow.
So your pop was a real OG, man.
So you just like by default.
By default, yeah. There's a lot of big shoes to walk in, though,
So are we missing anything in that big brand production?
And that big brand bio, listen, I've toured the world, alhamdulillah. I'm a professor. I've taught at Harvard for college, taught a class on Black Muslim history. I've been featured in USA Today. I've written, I've put tours together. That pretty much encapsulates a lot of it. But, really, when you look back again on the scope of, I think, the things that you've done, for me, I think most just near and dear to heart. Recently, I got a chance. Allah loved me enough to write a moment for me to walk my mother around the Kaaba.
Oh wow!
And I took not just my mom. It was majority of my siblings went. Wow. It was 11 of us. We were calling ourselves the Umrah 11.
Wow!
And it was a spectacular moment. So I think the sum of everything that I had done, and I'm gonna tell the full story one day about how that trip came about, because it's so interconnected with a lot of those things you read.
Right.
All of the things, the path that Allah put me on to create that moment was special. So I might add that to my bio. Actually, I'm pretty proud of that.
For people that might not be familiar with Kaaba, kind of explain all of that.
Yeah, man, the Kaaba. Listen, Umrah. That was my third Umrah trip. Alhamdulillah, I made 3 times, and that's just like Hajj. If we able to make Hajj, and shout out to everybody out there. First off, for watching the third party podcast, just by tuning in, you actually took your shahada. So assalamu alaikum, welcome to the religion. We don't do Taco Tuesday. We have Falafel Fridays, so you'll love it. Make sure you get your brochure. That's the Quran. Right. But no, man, Umrah is just like, it was one of those things. I think back when I originally had the opportunity to make Umrah was with some friends of mine and kind of putting the whole trip together, and then they kind of backed out. And I realized it was like Allah put them in place to kind of put me on that path. Right. And I went in 2018 and every single thing I asked for manifested. Wow. Right. Every single thing. And so for me, Umrah has become literally like that spiritual reset for me every so often when I get into a space where I'm like, I don't want Allah to take his protection from me. Right. I'm like, I need an Umrah. Right. I got to go back and make an Umrah. Inshallah, I'm going back in a couple months.
So for those that don't know, like Umrah, Hajj, this is a pilgrimage that Muslims make to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Right.
Yeah. And get them sins forgiven. You get cleansed if accepted. I mean, your sins are forgiven. And there's more strenuous things if you make the full-fledged Hajj. Yeah. If you more ritualistic things that go on. And I guess Umrah would be like I don't even know if you can call it a baby Hajj. What would you?
I sometimes I'll be like, it's like a baby Hajj.
Is it like a baby? It's pretty strenuous.
You don't walk to Arafat or anything like that. You just
But it's definitely walking involved.
The crazy thing is you can go to Umrah on a Tuesday and be done.
That is true.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that is true.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mecca and Medina is one of those places, like when you go to those beach resorts, like on vacation, and you always look at the people who live there. And I used to always imagine like they get to live here, like y'all live in paradise type of thing. And so when I'm in Mecca and Medina, it's like the people who get to be there, like even like the cleaners that clean up the Muslim. I'm like, can I get a broom and a rug just to?
I really would be.
I would totally take that job. Yeah.
So you've made Umrah and Hajj?
No, I've never made Hajj.
Never made Hajj.
I've never made Hajj. But
I've made Hajj, but it don't count.
Okay.
I was a baby.
Oh.
Yeah,
baby Hajj.
I was 2.
Baby Hajj.
You made a baby Hajj.
Like baby balls, but
like
baby
balls,
Hajj.
but baby Hajj.
Crazy thing is, I've been
little baby Ikram.
I've been the masjid baby for so long. Everybody from Baltimore actually remembers me on Hajj, except for me.
I forgot you were from Baltimore.
I'm the only one. Baltimore. You know?
I saw you on an episode of The Wire for season 1. He was a baby in there. He played a crack baby. That was his first credit. I apologize.
Yeah.
I thought he wasn't going to tell nobody.
You're right. He did get a sad card.
I made Hajj in 08.
Weren't you the first Omar?
First Bilal. First Bilal. Called the Adhan.
He played it. It
has beautiful tajweed, by the way, so you know.
He played it in the message. We need. You remember the message?
Oh yeah, that's a classic right there.
That's a classic.
So you've made Hajj?
Yeah, I made Hajj in 2008. Yep.
Wow, was it spectacular?
It was a miracle. It was one of the most miraculous things that I've ever experienced. The best money I've ever spent outside of taking Shahada is the best decision I've ever made. It's amazing. It was amazing. I could,
So you took Shahada, weren't born Muslim.
I was not born
I
Muslim.
love this. This is a great conversation right here. That alone, I had a conversation with someone recently, just that I think the duality that exists between people that were born Muslim and that kind of came over Muslim. And I think the biggest struggle, this may be just so off topic, but we were talking about one of the biggest struggles of people born Muslim is like we inherited Islam, right? Because our parents, my shout out to my mother and father, they converted to Islam, but they established Islam in our family. So as born Muslims, like we inherited it like inheriting money. You think about it differently. You appreciate it differently, right? Versus people who, what you guys had to overcome to actually, for Allah to lead you to Islam, to leave another religion and come here. There's a different, I think, appreciation and understanding of it. And so that duality that kind of exists, I think is very fascinating.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely different. You have a different perspective. I actually worry about that with my kids, right? Because I actually made a serious choice. And I think everybody has to choose, whether you're born Muslim or not. At some point, you got to choose how you want to live your life. Right. You got to choose, like what you want, your values,
we got
principles.
We got to throw some flowers at him, though, because he a community man.
Yeah.
So you would, it's
City
crazy.
athletics.
If he ain't actually say that he wasn't born Muslim, you would think he was, because he's so embedded in the community. It's like the sheikhs know him, the imams know him, the old head from the masjid. Like, hey, I seen you when you was a youngster.
Listen.
He wasn't even Muslim.
No,
but,
like real rap is people that think they know me from like, I remember when you was a young boy.
Yeah.
It's people, no, seriously, it's people that think they know me from, and I'm like,
wow. That's the beautiful thing about Islam, though. Islam, I think, is such a brotherhood and a sisterhood that no matter where you go in the world, I was on an international show once with Omar Regan. Shout out to Omar Regan, right? Mr. Hollywood. And we were somewhere in Europe, and we decided to go in between the tour, and we decided to go to Jummah. Right. And we found found some masjid, right? And we went in there and didn't speak a lick of the language that they spoke. And we sat there during Jummah, and we were kind of laughing at each other, didn't understand none of it, but until they had to call for prayer. Right. And then when they called for prayer, we all spoke that language, and we all instantly knew how to line up and how to get into rhythm and formation. And I think that Islam is just one of those religions that the brotherhood and the sisterhood is so dynamic no matter where you go in the world.
No, for real though. Speaking of being Muslim, being a comic, how has it been being a Muslim comedian?
Come on, shout out to the super Muslims out there. Man, I just celebrated about 14 years, I think, maybe doing comedy. I got my start in 2009 or 10. At the world famous the Laugh House on South Street. Shout out to the Laugh House. Shout out to Sugar Bear, late great Sugar Bear. They used to have an event there called Funny Money Wednesdays, and I went, and it was one of them events where like you got paid if you were funny. They would pass the bucket around and they put money in there, and that's how you got paid. And I got $60 that night. Okay. I always say 59 of it was my mother, but that dollar was a fan, and that's what kept me going.
Right.
Okay, you just need $1,
and it was in quarters.
That's all it was, and I took it straight to the laundromat. But no, man, after that, it kind of really, just a condensed version, it really just snowballed. A lot of those names that you read when I first started comedy, doing quote unquote mainstream, I was cursing on stage, really just trying to find my voice. I used to do a web series called FTS. Okay. And shout out to the early days of Nord Media, because in my early, this how me and this guy came to know each other, because again, the brotherhood. And one day I want to teach a course, and it's literally going to be entitled The Preservation of Relationships. Because the key to my success, I think, is being taught how to preserve relationships, because that, I think, is the key to people's success. And my relationships built off of, when you and I met way back when, really during the formation, the early foundational years of my career was us establishing our friendship and brotherhood to even look to today. So I'm just really proud of your growth and journey.
I appreciate you.
When I first got started, man, back then we were doing like every second Saturday to Let My People Laugh Productions, and they would come and film the shows and tape the shows. And early on, it was like nobody would put me on stage, so I had to create my own stage. So like 2 months into doing comedy, I was doing a monthly show.
You got a story of a bad skit? Getting kicked off stage?
I never got kicked off stage, but I do have my first time, I guess, quote unquote, bombing. if that's such a bomb, you know, because one of the most uncomfortable things in comedy, I don't know if it's just artistry in general, is silence. Once you become accustomed, that was some of the best advice I got was become comfortable in the silence, right? And I did a show, man, at Helium, and so full circle, it's so crazy because so full circle. Shout out to Helium because upcoming, we doing the very first International Muslim Comedy Showcase at Helium, February 21st, the second mainstream comedy club in Philadelphia, and they finally taking a chance on y'all got to be in the building. Black History Month, you already know Moses the Comic and Friends, Usman Habib, shout out. But I was at Helium Comedy Club years ago with this guy Ray Grady. Shout out to Ray Grady, and I think Chris Spencer was hosting that show as well. Shout out to Chris. And man, I was just so overconfident, super confident. I don't know if this goes into your fights, those moments before you're in the ring. I was in backstage going over my bit, and you couldn't tell me it wasn't. This is fire. This Def Comedy Jam.
You wasn't the man.
Listen, and I got out there and I did that first joke, and that was before I learned to become comfortable in the silence. And then it was silent. You never want to hear a cough in a comedy show. That's like 101. It's not going well. And there was a cough, and at that time, I didn't know where to go because comedy is such a rhythm. Shout out to the Dick Gregory's and the Preacher Mosses that the rhythm of comedy and jazz and the beats and things and my cadence and rhythm was built around the laughter. So when to hit your next joke based on that laughter, and when that wasn't there, at that time I didn't know where to go, and it was silent, and I struggled through the rest of the set. And I didn't know I bombed until afterwards, until the let out, and they were coming out like, better luck next time, baby. You tried.
You didn't know you bombed while it was going on?
Well, I knew that they were quiet. To me,
bombing, nobody laughed.
Yeah, to me, bombing growing up, I had never experienced that moment. So growing up, the bombing is polarizing to where people are booing or they're sandmanning you off stage. So it was just like straight silence. Like none of my jokes was working. I lost them in the first 30 seconds. And what
was
happened
all looking at him like,
it was bad. It was a core memory for me though, because as a host, now that I'm one of the most dynamic hosts in the industry, of course, Moses the Comic, you already know Moses the Comic.
And I seen your work.
Have you seen my work?
I seen your work.
Listen, I'm one of the best. But at that time, I made a vow because after I came off stage, the guy went up there, the host, Ray Grady, shout out to Ray Grady, still love him, Chicago's finest. He eviscerated me on stage, told the crowd how he did a whole bit about the silence, about my bombing. And that's when I knew. I was like, two things, that I bombed. And second, I was like, if I ever get the chance to have such a platform, such a status as a host, I'll never do that to another artist, even though I know it's par for the course. So and I never have.
He didn't throw you under the bus.
He got in the bus. He drove over the bus.
Under the bus and said, "I'm gonna leave you."
Listen,
right
he called all the passengers to the front too. Like,
it was the Montgomery bus boycott. You understand? It was bad.
He let everybody know we are about to hit this man right here.
It was bad.
So talk about what kept you going though.
What kept me going was just the contagiousness of the laughter. It's contagious for me. Like I'm really just so addicted to creating space where it brings joy to people.
Wow.
It was kind of like a snowball effect. I always say it's like once you start walking towards a thing, it's like the whole tie your camel thing. Once you do your part of it, then Allah will do his part. And as I started to walk towards that, I was just addicted really to the laughter.
Right. So you mentioned that you was doing one type of comedy, and I'm assuming you don't do that type of comedy anymore. Talk about, how would you describe your brand of comedy?
I had to clean my act up. If you scour the internet, you won't find any of that footage from FTS. Shout out to Charlie Murphy and Monique and Avant and all the people we had on that show. But in 2015, I think it was, is where I did that pivot. Really just kind of, my father passed in 2010 and his advice to me was just never compromise your integrity for success. And that was like a big thing to me. And I was never really fully comfortable in those markets, just being with cursing. And it was just funny. And it was like, that's what everybody was doing.
I ain't gonna lie. I know we Muslim and all, but I feel like cussing is just something that makes it a
Listen,
little funny.
I shout out to Mike Epps. I love Mike Epps. You know what I mean? Eddie Murphy and Martin was like my biggest inspiration.
Right.
So growing up, I felt like the curse word was the punchline. You know, and as I got older, I gained another appreciation for the Sinbads and the Bill Cosbys of the world, for the good Bill Cosbys of the world. And it's the pudding. And speaking of pudding, but one of the things. No, I got another appreciation for them because it's so difficult to make people laugh without cursing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the curse word sometimes does become the crutch,
Right.
you know, for the joke. And so to be able to make people laugh without cursing is dynamic. In 2015, shout out to again, Preacher Moss and The Law Made Me Funny, really kind of starting a pathway to where you didn't have to compromise your integrity for that. You could kind of come out and the whole generation of family can come out and enjoy this show, from the children to the grandchildren to the grandparents. And 2015 was the first time of me going into that market.
Yeah.
Can you describe how that's been? Like being that Muslim comedian now,
Man.
instead of the cussing like a sailor.
Listen, it's been, for lack of a better term, dynamic.
Wow.
It's been so transformative. I don't feel like I attained success until that path.
Right.
And it wasn't necessarily just becoming a Muslim comic, you know what I mean? Because what is that? You know, but it's really just when I made the decision that I don't want to compromise my integrity for anything. I don't need to create platforms to as a representation of something bigger than me.
Right.
You know, that became very, very important to me. It was an easy transition in terms of the decision, but it was a difficult transition in terms of the content.
Right.
You know, having to really tailor the content and be intentional about the material.
Personally, I see it, right? Like you said, like I was there at your early shows and in the CD places record. And personally, I've seen that the success bloom for you once you kind of made that transition and that decision and realized that like those markets are there. You know, it kind of remind me of like the Kevin on stage, like you know what I mean? Like, look, like you can still be funny, you can still impact people, you can still have have that kind of success. And not compromise your values or integrity. So I applaud you for that, and I commend that.
I was inspired by the Russell Peters, Joe Coy, you know, seeing people be able to use their art form and bring people into their world. You know, that was the first time I saw people kind of take material, cultural material to the mainstream and kind of bring people into their world. I'm like, I can do this. It really is just tailoring when I'm in front of a non-Muslim crowd, you know what I mean? It's really just kind of tailoring the material a little bit more, you know, explaining it a little bit more. But what I think is so dynamic about just myself is like the same set I'll do at a super Muslim comedy show, I'll go do at the Punchline or Helium. Because it really is just, to me, making the decision to do clean comedy.
So I know for me as a Muslim boxer as well, I know I got people who are just fans, and then you got the Muslim, you know, them people to be like, yo, you shouldn't be punching people. How has that been for you being a Muslim comedian? It's haram to laugh.
Yeah, man. Haram. These boys are just, this is regular, Abbott and Costello over here. Just shout out to Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary. So, yeah, the haram police is in every industry, obviously. For me, it's been, I don't know. Listen, shout out Unapologetically Muslim. I'm unapologetically Muslim. Shout out on the trademark for that as well. Unapologetically Muslim and unapologetically
That's
Muslim.
my word right
That's
there.
his word.
He
run that joint in the ground.
Come on, you will be getting a cease and desist letter by Thursday. I need you to never unapologetically Muslim. Wherever I go, I kind of wear that on my sleeve.
You just do you.
Yeah, I'm doing me. But I think the detractors. I mean, recently, of course, we had an incident with shout out to the Riyaadah. We going there.
Shout out to the Riyaadah.
Yeah, we shout out to the Riyaadah, you know what I mean? Because there are times when I think, when just as artists, and as Muslims rather, I'm going to say as Muslims, we can't be above reproach.
So tell us about the incident that you're talking about.
Yeah, man. The Riyaadah was a big, of course, cultural, historic thing that's been going on for about 40 years. Shout out to Imam Jamil.
It's the Negro Olympics.
It's the Negro Olympics, if you will.
For real.
If you will.
Muslim Negro Olympics.
So the Riyaadah is a a sports based competition,
outdoor recreation,
weekend
sports,
for
male, female athletic competition. Started in Atlanta, I believe. I don't know the history, of course, right off the bat, but I know Imam Jamil and all the different pioneers that was responsible for the Riyaadah starting. And it's gone from city to city, and we grew up in it. It was just like the pinnacle thing. Not more so than just the games. It became like another Eid where you could, that once a year you would see all your friends from across the country, and I'm really so thankful for the pioneers that did that, because that really became the foundational thing of all these relationships that we have. Right. A lot of our traits and the different things we're interested in, as athletically, even from that. And so the Riyaadah, man, we had it here in Philadelphia. It bounces back and forth. It was in Philly this year, and I produced a comedy show, and and I performed on the show. Straight fire. It was. Of course.
It was fire.
Had one of the best sets. Had one of the best sets.
You was blazing the whole crowd.
Listen, I went from person to person. Oh, you weren't there.
Nah,
he went in.
I was out of town.
Okay,
But
please let this man tell you.
It was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
Okay,
it was phenomenal. But
yes,
right, so
let's talk about it.
So yeah, we did, and that's one of the things about I think that's so interesting about just the concept of the cursing and the Haram police. And the thing is that giving it up to me, I grew up in I'm sure Philly's finest. Shout out to Philadelphia. I think one of them cities where first of all they call Philadelphia Little Mecca when I travel internationally, because
Philadelphia as well.
Listen, watch your mouth, because the Muslims are so integrated into the fabric of this city. Literally, the mayor we just had only one, by the margins of the assistance and the backing of the Muslim community. So because of that, Philadelphia is we're our own nation as well. We got our own lingo, our own talk,
y'all
and the N-word, I'm not going to say it on this podcast, but the N-word is a part of our daily routine, if you will. Our imams use it in their khutbahs. I've never heard an imam use that in his khutbah, by the way. I'm sure it's made it into a khutbah too.
I have heard Negro in a khutbah.
Have you? Okay.
I've heard Negro in a khutbah.
Okay, now I've never heard ER, but I've heard some GGA.
I've never
some
heard
GGA.
I've never heard ER, and I've never heard GGA.
Okay, shout out to Chris.
I've only heard Negro.
Listen, all I know is, so I used the word. Yeah, I used the N word that night, and some people were. Some say profusely, some say perfumely, mean beautifully. But yeah, he said profusely, and I think it was one of those things that some people were offended by it. Right. Some weren't. Right. We're just so acclimated to it, and some were. And those that were, I made amends with. But you really can't please everybody.
How'd the feedback make you feel?
The feedback didn't make me feel bad at all, because I think maybe I'm so seasoned in the game. It's kind of like you take the good with the bad, no different than someone. And comedy's so subjective. Comedy in general is subjective, not even about the N-word aside. Someone that you may find hilarious, I be watching things, and my line would, at home I always say, what is everybody laughing at?
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think I really didn't feel a way. I actually felt more upset by wanting to make amends with the people who are offended, because I have such a high standard of quality at my events that I want everyone leaving making sure they had it. Because, shout out to the Ummah Shop. One thing that it taught me about having a business, a retail business, is there's a difference between customer service and customer experience. Customer service is, we've all had great customer service. You go into a place and they smile and they say please and thank you. But the experience that you have in a place is the only thing that brings repeat business. Right. And so I apply that into my shows as well. I want people to come have a good experience, right. and if you left and didn't, regardless of how funny everybody was, if the environment was uncomfortable, or if they serve an alcohol, or if the music is too loud, or the N-word offends you, I do feel an obligation to make that right.
And you do this. This is your bread and butter. So you gotta listen. So at what point, let's go back. What point did you decide to be like, you know what? I'm going full-fledged with comedy.
I've been doing it full-time since, I want to say, 2017. I remember leaving my full-time job. I moved to Atlanta in 2015 to work for the Boys and Girls Club. They know nothing about like my other skill sets. Y'all just see me as a clown online. But I'm formerly director of the Boys and Girls Club of Atlanta. Shout out to the Boys and Girls Club.
They gave you a job, bro.
They gave me a job.
They let you in?
I didn't even pass the criminal background check. I don't know if they actually ever filed that
They just
paperwork.
said, stand right here.
Basically, and gave me a t-shirt. And I was there, the director over their leadership and character development. Okay. And I moved my whole family to Atlanta. And And at the end of that year, which was 2015, is where we had the first opportunity to go to, when I got the call for the first like super Muslim comedy tour. Mind you, I'm doing mainstream comedy at this point. Everything online is like filth farm flim.
Right.
And I got a call that was a pivotal moment. I made Istakara on it, ask Allah for guidance, and I never looked back. And I never forget that I had to start making phone calls to people to start cleaning up the stuff online, because basically these people were like, that he was going to take me on a tour, but they didn't want to use me because when you Googled me, that bad stuff was out there. FTS came up, and it was a beautiful show. That was a show about celebrities saying things that make them want to say FTS. You can use your imagination what those letters stood for.
Bleep that bleep.
Bleep that bleep. Yes. So basically, when they was Googling me and that stuff was coming up, I had to start calling people, being intentional about scrubbing the internet for that stuff.
And you're very professional.
Changed my whole career. When I tell y'all, the Moses that you see standing here, I've been on a whole new path, and I never looked back from there. Shout out to Baba Ali. When I went on that first tour, me, Omar, and Baba Ali, we sold out 11 shows across the UK. Baba Ali, again, preserving relationships and people that that I've met that have opened doors, and we just plant those seeds for each other. And I had that conversation with Baba Ali on that first tour, where he's like, bro, just when you go back, don't look back. Don't go back to that old path. Like, stay on this path, and the Lord will open doors for you. And he took his phone and like put my information in his phone and like put it on it. And this was, again, this was, you talking about 2015 social media. Now that's so you won Musa won $1,000 to put anything in his stories. You already know this man is a goddess of influencer. But back then that was like a big thing. And so he put me on.
First of all, I was
media.
a fan of you.
Really?
No, let's get this straight up.
Hey,
when
bro,
I got here,
I don't know if that's what he said before this, but
when
okay.
I got here
Thank you.
on camera, I was a fan. No, but for real though, when I started the social media thing, I was in Vegas.
Right.
He's one of the first people I looked up. Him, Muslim Poppy,
Right.
some other brothers, but he was like. I had him as one of my first skits. I was like, "Yo, we gotta do this."
Right.
He ignored me. He was like, he said, "Chill, small fry.
Small fry.
You're not there."
I was close to some of what was going on at the time. I remember having a conversation with you, and shout out Omar.
Omar Regan is a phenomenal man.
Yeah.
He's opened up a lot of doors for me, and that is truly my brother. And
that's
mentor.
a brother to us all. Shout out to Omar.
Yeah, he an OG, and I remember he called me like, "Yo, I'm trying to get Musa on this tour, man." He got to clean it up though. He was like, "Yeah."
I said,
I was like, "Talk to him, man." Yeah. And I saw how just that the mentorship and linking you with other people, man, how it really just kind of just help with that success. And I remember seeing it. I saw the growth. I saw you go on tour with that, Joe.
I've been putting the work in. I will say, man, it's when I think back on the past 4 or 5 years since that story I just told you about, to when I got back in 2015. That was November 2015 when we got back from that first international comedy tour, and from that January on, I just been going hard, bro. 27. So for the next 2 years, I kind of just started like really. I left the Boys and Girls Club and started working at a hotel. I literally took a job at a hotel because I needed a job that gave me the flexibility to pursue my dreams.
Right.
I had never worked in a hotel before, and at the interview for that, I remember telling the woman, I said, "Listen, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here. I need
That's a heck
space."
of a way to tell
Bruh,
somebody.
I had to be real with her, like because some people go. I respect the people who go to school for hospitality, and that's what they want to do and everything. And for me, it was just I needed the flexibility to be able to come and go around my schedule, and that's why I always give them shout out to the Omni Hotel and shout out to the Omni and the management there, because they gave me the opportunity to really pursue my dreams and have a home base. Free. All 2016 and 17 was me going hard. I was literally on international comedy tours and coming back to be the front desk agent, checking people into a hotel, going doing shows on the weekend and there during the week, and I was grinding.
Be like that.
Listen,
he was using that discount too, bro.
Oh, absolutely. That
he was in
that
every hotel
discount was
free.
coming in handy. And shout out to the Flight Connect as well. But in 2017, I'll never forget taking that resignation letter in there and telling the general manager that listen, this is it. I got tired of putting 80% into other people's dreams and 20% into your own, or 70 and 30. And I was like, for once, I want to try and flip the numbers. And even if I'm just giving 80%, let me do it on something that's just for me. And 2017, I left.
So you mentioned the Ummah Shop.
Yeah.
So outside of comedy, I know you do a lot of other great things. Talk about the Ummah Shop and how you were able to open up a faith-based store in one of the major malls in America.
Well, listen here. You know, I always say I'm a passenger on someone else's bullet train. And that's real, man, because not even behind, but beside, I think, you know, great men. And I said this recently when I did a fundraiser at the masjid, and we were giving praise to a lot of the men and dynamic men in Philadelphia, pioneer men that have been here and helped us really be who we are today. But by that same token, we have some phenomenal women. And we stand on the backs of the jewels of Islam here and the women of Islam. And black Muslim women are just phenomenal.
Yeah,
and a black Muslim woman started
mamas.
the Ummah Shop. And, you know, so I'm a passenger on her train where, you know, her vision for the store of creating a space of Muslim brands and businesses in one place, like Angie's List for Muslim-owned brands and businesses was the original concept. And
I see you repping it right now.
listen here, you know, this is one of our, of course, our you know, our merchandise as well. We sell our super Muslim merchandise, and the Ummah Shop just really kind of became one of those platforms in the second largest mall. And it's interesting, when we went to them, they were like, we've always wanted to work with the Muslim community, and no one ever approached us about it. And it just taught us that, like, we have so much trepidation sometime about kind of coming out of our box and thinking so linear. Because
I knew you was going to use that word.
You like that word, linear? I was at least three times. Which one?
Not. You know what word?
Trepidation. You know, He
I was
always
waiting
he
for you to-
demonizes me for my vocabulary, and I use trepidation. I had trepidation about coming here tonight because I didn't have my gun on me, and it was very dangerous. But no, we had a lot of trepidation about really just we went there just for a weekend.
All right.
And they told her, it was like, look, how about a month? You know, how about for the whole month of Ramadan? We got a store that recently closed, a pea in a pod, a maternity store. That's why all of our mannequins are pregnant in the Ummah Shop. We had to use what we had to get what we wanted.
Yeah, you do
and it
what
was
you
a
gotta
really,
do.
it was actually a pretty accurate representation of the Philly Muslim women. A lot of them are walking around fully garbed with a belly.
Talk about it.
Some a baby and some just lemon pepper wings and Max's cheesesteaks and whole 9 yards. I apologize.
Hey, shout out to the black woman who is just the pioneer for that, you know, the shop. Do you feel like, you know, that the blessings that, you know, you stopped cussing, you tried to be unapologetically Muslim,
if you will,
and then you feel like those blessings are also coming through? Because I know for me, it was, I became the Muslim boxer online, and now it's like, I'm really getting blessed, and I'm trying to be the Muslim boxer all the time. Wherever I am, I'm just mussing. How you feel about that?
For me, it was once I became intentional about, I used to be embarrassed to even tell people I was a comedian. And I equate it to how people be when you finally embrace, like, I'm an actor, I'm a singer. When you embrace whatever that skill is, right? And so I used to be embarrassed to say that because I used to think it's like people gonna be like, this guy, you know, even other men. I was embarrassed to say it around other men, to think just like, what's your real job? How do you support your family?
You ain't working construction,
yeah,
brother.
it's like you ain't got a 401k, and this is because, you know, going after your own, being an entrepreneur is very difficult because you don't know where your next is coming from, and it literally is you having to be intentional about how you decide to live your platform. And, there's a narration where a man, he was talking to Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. He said a drop of rain can fall into the mouth of a seashell or a mouth of a snake. And he said in a seashell, that drop of rain would turn into a pearl, and in a snake, that same drop of rain would turn into poison. So he said your intentions and the knowledge around your intentions in the wrong or right hands could be a blessing or a curse.
Come with it, bro.
And man, bro, for me, bro, it's like I'm so intentional about the rooms that I step into that I'm authentically me. You know what I mean? All the time. I'm going to be Muslim. I'm so past feeling like that I have to walk on any eggshells or compromise my integrity for anyone. And so I'm using my platform to try to subvert those stereotypes of Islamophobia and bigotry. And for me, it's like, and why I go into a mainstream space or a Muslim space and with my merchandise and being who I am.
You told me you wrote an episode of Family Guy, bro. That joint has always... That joint has always fascinated me.
That was a Writers Guild thing. Okay. It was a Writers Fellowship where they would take, you would apply, you know, submit your samples, and they would narrow it down to like 50 people, whatever it was. And from all over the world, and you will go work for Disney and for a year. You work for Disney and ABC for 1 year as a writer, as a writing staff. And mind you, this is 2007, 2008. And so I started like binge watching Family Guy, trying to acclimate myself to the show. And I wrote an episode of Family Guy and submitted it. And man, it was like one of the most difficult things I had ever done. You sign over everything you create, but it's a way for you to get into the industry, break in. So I didn't get that. But what happened was, when we didn't get it, the gentleman, was me and another guy from Philly, I believe, that he was like, look, they didn't choose you for that, but they love the way you write. And this was another lesson. They said, what other samples do you have? And this was an example early on of just like that preparation, just really kind of meeting talent. Whereas like the talent might be 10% of success. Really, that 90% is being prepared and being disciplined. As a fighter, you know that. Yeah. When they came back, man, I had the opportunity for that. But I had no other writing samples. I had put everything at that time into that script. And the other guy was like, I got 3 more scripts to go. Right. And they took him. But what happened with that script, they optioned that script for him. They got optioned. It got registered with the Writers Guild of America. I'm in the Library of Congress for that script. Wow. It was called To Marry a Mormon, and the episode was about Peter. They do wife swap. That was big when the show Wife Swap was out. And the whole episode was them swapping houses with a Mormon family. It was very, of course, I wrote it close to my religion, because Mormons, they also believe in polygamy and multiple, know what I mean? A Mormon man is single till he has all 4 slots filled, just like a Muslim man. And shout out to Islam and Mormonism.
What is it that people don't know about Moses the comic that you want them to know?
What don't they know about me? Man, that's a great question. Wow. I rarely get stumped in questions. Got me.
We here.
What don't y'all know
we here
about me? I'm a huge Frankie Beverly fan. I don't know if anyone knows that. If that's.
Would you like me to start it?
Please.
Please.
Dun, dun, dun. Whoa, whoa. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Shout out to Frankie Beverly. I'm an old soul. Grew up on seen him in concert 15, 20 times. Happy feelings.
Hey, speaking of singers, though.
Come on, talk about it.
So, my oldest brother, a lot of people don't give me the credit. Like, they just like, you come from a family of fame.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Don't you have a famous brother?
Listen, Allah has been very merciful to my family. We're very talented. Just going down the list, shout out to my sister Tasneem, to Blackman Hill. Started something. They give free therapy to men of color. Shout out to Blackman Hill.
Right, we going?
Listen, please. And y'all both meet the qualification. Y'all both are black. Y'all need healing.
We're going to do couples therapy, bro.
Yeah, please. I would love to just that's a show, a couples therapy show.
What?
But shout out to Kindred, the family soul, my oldest brother, Fatin, and he was the one that really... He's the reason I first got my passport. So he really put me on that international path way before it had a title. And they've been in the game 20-something years, man. I think this year, actually, they're going to Europe in a couple of weeks, next week, actually. And they're doing their 20-year anniversary of their first album, Surrender to Love. And so my big brother, he just celebrated 50 years. May Allah preserve him. But he was the one that showed me everything, really. Really, when I say everything, I mean how to navigate in this market, in this world, with the integrity as a businessman, with the discipline, with the intentionality. And he exposed me to people, places, and things outside of my daily routine. And that was transformative for me to go into other countries and see other cultures and be a teenage boy. And it took me away from my neighborhood where I could have been involved in a lot of other stuff. And suddenly I was having tea and crumpets, and I was tea and crumpets, pot of tea. Hello, governor.
Swallow tea.
Yeah, you swear down.
I swear down. He doesn't like my accent, but yeah.
That's actually really good British accent. I would know.
My accent is really good.
Is it?
I can impersonate everyone.
He can't.
Do you have any in you?
No.
You're mad. Fam.
I don't.
Fam. Let's go get the peas.
Bruv. Would you want some
go
water?
Get the peas.
Listen, somebody got to be the adult.
Side note.
Yeah, man. True. All right, so look, we're going to get into a little bit of fun, man. We got some questions for you, man.
Let's do it.
All right, so the worst job you ever had.
Worst job that I ever had. I used to be a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard when I was in my teenage years. I was a lifeguard, but I was so embarrassed at that time. I used to be like little Luther Vandross.
Wait, big Luther or skinny
I was
Luther?
80s Luther. I was 80s Luther back in the day before I was this beautiful specimen that I am today. I was 80s Luther.
Oh, side note, you looking great, brother.
Come on,
you looking good.
I'm 30 down,
you
baby.
looking good.
I'm 30 down.
30 down.
30 down.
My guy,
30.
Man, I can see it in the cheeks.
Come on. Which cheeks exactly? I thought this was a family-friendly show. I apologize. I was a lifeguard, but I never wanted to change into the outfit because I was so subconscious about that little tank top T-shirt. Because it was a lot of titties flying around all over the place. Then, can you say titty on here? I don't know. I've said it a third time. 3 is the sooner, so titty. I'll say it one more time. But one of the things, I never wanted to take the shirt off, so I got fired. I got fired as a lifeguard because I was like, I'm not. I'd be watching the pool in a full like Fat Farm sweatsuit. Like with I had the buoy. I used to have the buoy and everything. The buoy,
but you was hot on there.
I used to be burning up.
Bro, I was a
sweating.
lifeguard for a while, and it get hot.
It was hot out there. I'm not gonna lie, but that was a great summer job for me.
On, triple fat goose coat.
I definitely had a goose down coat on as a lifeguard trying to save people. One time, a little girl almost drowned, and I was just like, "Use your kick harder." She was kicking her little feet, and I was like, I was on the side of the thing. Then IHOP, I worked in IHOP, and I had the genius idea that I wanted to try these pancakes at home, and they were delicious on the griddle, but I wanted to try them at home. They came in a little bag. I don't know. Shout out to IHOP. I don't know if y'all still do it like this, but it was a little bag you pour. And I took one of those bags and tried to take it home and make the pancakes at home, and they didn't like that. So that was a bad job too.
I got another question for you. Would you rather have gas all the time or bad breath all the time?
Oh.
Yeah.
Gas all the time or bad breath all the time. I'm gonna go bad breath all the time because I'm gonna go bad breath because number one, you when you close your mouth and open your ears, great things will happen. That's first and foremost.
But you go as much as you've been talking.
Well, I talk from afar. If you got bad gas and you're in tight spaces, planes, different things, that's bad.
What about you?
I don't have to talk on an airplane.
What about your significant other? You whisper in the ear and baby, what's gonna happen then? You ain't turning her on. Let's just tell about that. You're not doing that.
How bad a breath? Let's talk about that. How bad breath? I'm like women that can never do
halitosis.
Halitosis?
Halitosis.
Damn. Halitosis, I might have to go gas then.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm going gas right off the bat.
You going gas?
You know why?
Why? What you going?
I'm going gas.
I'm going gas. So here's the thing though.
Why?
Because gas don't have the smell.
No, if it's halitosis, then I imagine that it's rotten eggs.
I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, gotta be equal.
I ain't gonna lie. If I'm in a crowd, I'm blaming it on
you
somebody else.
You can't hold gas. I feel like that has more of a long-term health risk, holding gas.
I'm blaming it on somebody else.
You gonna blame it on somebody else?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yo,
you strike me as a gas blamer, like the guy in the elevator that let one loose, and then when and you turn into Stevie Wonder when they turn around.
Absolutely.
And say, you really love me.
So how about this? If you ever see the Muslim boxer at Walmart or any aisle by himself, looking at something random, and you're
farting.
You like, why is he looking at pads? Like, you know what I'm saying?
He's holding up with wings. I'm over here super maxi with wings.
I'm over here like this, like,
Taco Tuesday.
I'm farting.
It's
I'm
Taco
letting you
Tuesday.
know.
It's
Biryani Wednesday. That's what it was.
I guess they have to take gas.
I'm taking the gas.
Yeah.
You taking the gas?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take the gas, man. I think just the bad breath, like
bad breath. Yeah.
It's hard to talk to somebody.
I didn't think about it until you said significant other, because when I think about my career, bad breath is like you could be across the room, but I guess that would definitely have an effect on the relationship. Bro, if we ride in
a car, you got bad breath, it's a bad car ride, bro.
But if you got bad gas, you got to get out.
No, I can roll down the window.
No,
it's only going to be there
for a couple minutes.
Yeah, but if you talking and we having a conversation, let's say one of them good songs come on, because if Frankie Beverly coming on and you got bad breath, we're not singing. Yeah. We're going to listen to this.
I feel like we should change your thing to the Muslim rapper though. Like, you talking about good songs.
Do not hype this
shout out to the boxer. You've done that. Phenomenal, 11-0, KO, the pectorals. He doesn't want to give me. He does not want to give me. But you're rapping,
flowers.
and I will say you have some of your remixes that I'm not gonna lie. Like some of them, of course, some of them is they just for bubblegum. But some of them are your lyrical prowess.
Talk about it.
I will say, lyrically, some of them I've been impressed with. Who? I'm not gonna lie.
Did you hear that? So
don't hype this
I ain't
man
gonna
up.
say who, but just know a famous rapper. Just hit me up and said, and I showed it to him.
He
famous rapper says,
honest.
"Yo, We gotta do
see
a
this.
remix.
I gotta
I'll show
see
you
this.
after.
Okay.
This is the thing,
Famous
though.
rapper.
He was supposed to do some bars for the intro.
I was.
You heard the music?
When the music came on, I thought a bar was going to drop.
But
and it didn't.
Chris, here's the thing though. Shout out to Chris because when he made
out to
it, we
Chris.
was like, we don't need any bars
Oh, cut it.
because
we
the
need a
beat was
bar,
just
yeah.
like.
And then not only does he do bars, but then he does these kind of like makeshift music videos with them. You always shoot a video with
Absolutely.
it. And
have to.
The production, I'm very impressed. One time you be in the rain, you go outside, these different shots.
I have to.
He shot a whole music video at the Riyaadah. He had people.
did, he
I said, "There's no
did.
way you're gonna galvanize people, these black people, to come
Definitely
together."
did.
Next thing I know, I see Muhsin with a phone with a crowd of people
screamed
walking
out
down.
of there and was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
y'all gonna be in this video.
It was crazy.
You've been in the movies. You've been on the big screen. If you had one person to play you when you get there, inshallah, you're gonna get there. You got one person to play you. Who is playing you?
Well, listen, I've been for more times than I care to count. If I put $1 away every time I've been mistaken for Anthony Anderson, every single time I get, and because he lost all that weight and blackish, you know what I mean, and so I get Anthony. I got to show you some pictures of us side by side where we're like,
Anthony Anderson.
do you see it?
Yeah,
I see it now.
You see it now.
Who you been mistaken for?
Me?
Yeah,
I don't get mistaken for anybody.
Wesley Snipes.
One of a kind.
I don't get mistaken.
Blade.
No, you know what I used to get? I used to get Delroy Lindo.
A young Delroy.
A young Delroy.
You do look like a young Delroy Lindo. I see that.
Deep voice. You know
I
what
see
mean?
that. Yeah.
This boy.
I can see that.
I used to get.
A young
I ain't gonna
Delroy.
lie. You do a little bit. Tyrese off of Baby Boy.
Jody?
Little Jody. Little Jody.
He do look like Lil
You
Jody.
think of Little Jody?
Lil Jody.
Okay.
Just a little Jody with the scruffy.
I
with the,
get,
see
I
it.
get Cube Son too. You remind me of Cube Son a little bit.
Okay. I don't know what his name is. Ice Cube.
Junior. Ice Cube
whatever,
Junior.
Ice Cube Jr., if you will.
Ice Cube Jr.
But I've got Anthony Anderson. Now, let's see who else will play me. I don't, I'm gonna go. Let's just go Michael Ealy. I don't know. I mean, light eyes. I think I can do a little Michael Ealy. I mean, because I'm coming down. I don't have quite the chest you have yet.
I ain't gonna lie.
But
though.
a few more
Got the
push-ups.
Oh, you
chest
talking
bump.
about Michael
Somebody
Ealy?
told
No, for me.
Somebody told me that I could play. I look like JB Smooth, and I almost punched.
I don't know if that
I
was
actually, it's more like a JB Ruff. It's not too smooth.
JB Smooth.
A JB Ruff around
Listen,
the edges.
I've got
I
Nick
think.
Cannon.
You
I've
got
got
Nick
Michael B.
Cannon.
Jordan.
No, people do
Michael
say.
B. Jordan.
I've got
Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
B. Jordan.
Michael B.
No,
Jordan.
not C. Jordan.
Not C. Jordan or V. Jordan. Michael B.
B. Jordan.
You actually have a very Nick Cannon-y.
Somebody has
a
in
very
there.
Nick Cannon-y
Yeah,
look.
No, this-
Cannon,
You about 11 kids out from him though. You got to catch up.
I'm
You got 11
good.
more
I'm
kids.
good. I'm good
Okay.
because he got 11 baby mamas too.
Yeah.
12 baby mamas.
Is it 12
11
baby
kids.
mamas?
12 baby mamas, 11
Wow.
kids.
So we wrapping up, man. We got a couple more questions.
Let's get it.
You know what I mean? To go. So these Philly questions though.
Okay.
Now,
Cheesesteak or a hoagie?
Cheesesteak.
Cheesesteak. You ain't
Cheesesteak all
even. You ain't
day.
even.
you ain't even
Cheesesteak all
guess.
day.
It wasn't
Cheesesteak all
no.
day.
Somebody gave me a first. He didn't even do a
No,
Why?
absolutely not. That's a Philly staple.
Wait. Lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Lunch and dinner. You picking?
Lunch and dinner, yeah. If I got it between those two sandwiches, I got to go cheese toast. First of all, warm beats cold all day in my book. If you're talking about this and that, I got to go warm. But a cheesesteak, because the right cheesesteak will get you exactly where you need to be.
A right hoagie won't.
The right hoagie will
Listen.
get you somewhere. It can get you somewhere, not over the right cheesesteak though. Not absolutely not. A hoagie is just like, it's the same. Here's the thing about it. I feel like I can make a great hoagie at home.
Right.
You can.
But I know I don't feel like I can make a great cheesesteak.
Now with a Kaiser roll.
But this is the thing. Your pop owned the deli.
Right.
My pop did own a deli, and his hoagies were phenomenal. My pop had one of the first halal meat stores in West Philadelphia in 96, 97, and YCS. And I watched my dad make hoagies and sandwiches and everything. So I am a hoagie guy. But the
You gonna
cheesesteak,
take
I think,
cheesesteak?
yeah, I got to take cheesesteak.
Chicken and cheesesteak.
Chicken cheesesteak is off the chain.
I got. What's your? Y'all got your own language here. What's your 3 Philly words that you always use?
One, I can just do letters as DH. I'm not gonna. That's definitely a term. I just used that earlier today when I saw a clip of somebody doing something foolish and silly, and I'm like, this DH. Y'all can use your imagination for what that stands for. It's the head of something. But that's definitely in the heavy rotation. I mean, DH. John, I guess customary, gotta go John. Because John is like a noun. It's a person, place, or a thing.
Everything.
It's everything. This John, that
So
John.
for us, it's yo.
A person, yo.
It's yo or a joint.
Joint.
It used to be joint.
Too many letters.
Now we say yo.
Okay. Yo.
Yeah.
John.
Okay.
Yo, that John over there is crazy.
joint.
This John, that John. John is, I probably use that a lot.
John is for everything. Get that John.
What else is a Philly John? Besides DH and John, another term.
As he says John. He said, what
Right,
else is a
right.
Philly
There's
John?
another John
That's
for the
another
John.
John I got. I don't know. I don't favorite term.
All right. And last one. he go grind me up for this.
Come on.
Water ice or Mr. Softy?
Water ice or Mr. That's crazy that's, man, I gotta go both on those. You know why? Because Mr. Softy is top. That's like a core memory. And you know, when you hear that jingle, is that, first of all, I want to know, when your listeners, is this like an international sound? Do they have that Mr. Softy jingle in other countries? Because here, when you heard that growing up, all bets was off.
So I know in Baltimore, when you heard
You didn't have that one. Okay, so it's not a universal sound because that sounds like that was the call for cocaine. I know you said Baltimore is a lot of that was on season 3 of The Wire.
Whatever you wanted from the Moroccan truck.
It was more than ice creams coming off the truck, basically. Okay,
You knew that.
It was some Becky, some Snow White coming off the truck.
They went through. How you go through a recession as an ice cream man?
Talk about the Choco Taco from Mr. Softy. Because growing up, that was like staple. Yeah. The Choco Taco?
Yeah, Choco.
I gotta go Choco Taco.
So you like Mr. Softy?
The Pink Panther
Pink Panther
with the
was crazy. Bubblegum Pink Panther was crazy.
Yeah.
But no, I gotta go Mr. Softy. If you go water ice though, I gotta go lemon and cherry. Lemon cherry water ice. I think you can never go wrong. Shout out to Sadiq's.
Now, how would you describe if somebody's really like grinding you up? How would you say? Because he said a few things and I don't approve. How would you say somebody's like really cracking on you? Because that's how Baltimore say, "Oh, you about to slide them."
Bidding.
Yeah,
we bidding. This is the bid.
What was the one before that?
Before bid?
Yeah.
What was before bid?
I'm not
cracking.
Listen,
back in the day, it was like he cracking on you, he bidding on you. What was it?
Party podcast.
What was it?
Wait, before it, the
third
this
party.
man was like, "Yeah, stop busting on me."
Busting. Yeah. But that was like the way back in the day. Like
I'm a little bit older than him.
Clearly,
So.
he's 100.
But not way back in the day. Meaning these terms had iterations. They evolved.
Right.
So it was, like no one says banging anymore. Remember, banging used to be a thing. It was like that joint banging.
Yeah.
But that's played out now.
I ain't gonna lie, I do say that.
You still say banging?
I still say I don't like that joint, but it's food.
Now everything is just fire.
If it's food,
this.
I'll be like, this joint banging.
Like no cap wasn't a thing with me growing up.
No cap, it's still not a thing.
That's a big thing here.
The young,
not
no
here,
cap.
but the young kids use that.
And they hit slapping.
Slapping.
Like, yo,
that's
I
don't
slap.
say no cap, but
No
if
cap.
somebody's lying, I'll be like cat. I
Cap.
won't say that.
Yeah, cap.
I wanna know, what is it
cap.
short for?
No cap. I don't know. Like no cap.
No
What is
cap.
But you remember how it used to be like, yo, you capping me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's
Okay.
along that line, man. Hey, listen, man.
Cap up is crazy.
Moses the comic, Musa Sulaiman,
Appreciate you, brother.
Third Party Podcast, my man, the Muslim boxer.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, man, we appreciate you coming out. This like time number 3, but
Yes, sir.
I think we got it right.
This the real one. We got to write this
And I
down.
hope I can be invited back one day. Because I mean, one day I come and I can be like the guy on the couch that's just in the background, giving a 1-2.
You got to have on a lifeguard.
We got to.
Hey, we're gonna hang a lifeguard tank top up to the show.
Just because.
Yo,
with a velour tracksuit.
We got to
baby
have
blue.
him right here. It just
Baby
eating
blue.
ice cream while he just.
And a Discman. I used to have the Walkman back then and everything. With the you had to put with the CDs.
How you gonna get in the pool with a Discman?
I had the Discman, yeah, with a Frankie Beverly CD. We doing some big things, man. Hopefully this international showcase.
Where can we follow you at and learn about what you got going on?
We working on the Ummah Shop. Anybody want to support the Ummah Shop, man? We're the only Islamic department store in a major U.S. mall, and we gotta definitely,
That's
we need
King of
institute
Prussia.
King of Prussia Mall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're on the Macy side. You can go to ummahshop.com, and then also you can go to mosesthecomic.com. We got a big show coming up, the first in Philadelphia International Comedy Muslim Showcase at Helium Comedy Club, February 21st.
We will be
Black History Month. Hope y'all be in the building. Got to sell this joint out, man, because the goal is to really pipeline that tour into a national tour. And really, I want to be able to take the Muslim brand and the Muslim comedy and merge it with mainstream and go from city to city and show people, man, that it's some valuable, great talent out there. So,
man, Allah make you successful, man.
Third
party podcast, great time with Musa Sulaiman. The problem is I call you Musa,
and I call you Moses,
and he call you Moses, man.
I always used to say I know how people know me based on what they call me initially. Like the people call me Musa and then Moses.
Hey man, thanks for joining in. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. Third Party Podcast.